Hello and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm Cassidy. If it's not, thanks for always tuning into my videos. Today we have for some people, the dreaded Unhaul, but for me, like the amazing Unhaul. I love Unhauls. There's something so therapeutic about them. They make me feel good about myself. Like I'm getting clutter out of my house. I'm getting rid of things I no longer want. It's like a reset. And because I just reorganized my shelves, I figured I should do an Unhaul because I was just pulling books off the shelves that I was like, I don't want to read this. I don't want to read this. Why am I keeping that? Meh. So I have a decent stack of books here to tell you about that are going to better homes. I know a lot of people feel sad unhauling books that they've never read, but personally for me, I would rather a book go off to a used bookstore or Value Village is where I'm sending them, and go to someone who is going to read it. It's just going to sit on my shelf for eternity. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to bury it in my shelf until the end of time. So I may as well leave. And then another note that some of these books have been gifted to me, and thank you so much for gifting me a book. If I did unhaul it, I'm sorry, but like still thank you so much for gifting me something. My taste changes all the time, and sometimes books just don't work out with me in the end, even though I wanted them. So I hope that you all can understand. Let's get right into the unhaul. These first two should not be shocking to anyone who hangs out on my channel. The Assassin Trilogy by R.J. Barker. I've been holding on to these going. I'm gonna read them. I'm gonna give R.J. Barker another chance. The more I think about the Bone Chips, the more I think about the Tie Child Trilogy as a whole, the more I know I'm never getting to these. That is one of my least favorite series I've ever read, and it wasn't just that story, it was the writing style in general that I didn't like. And why am I holding on to these? I literally did a predicting star ratings off of the first chapter for Age of Assassins, and I thought I would give it 2 stars. So like, why am I holding on to these? These need to go. I'm unhauling them. More shelf space for books that I'm more excited about. And then we also have The Wolf of Aranjaro by K.S. Veloso, which I thought I was going to keep, but the more I thought about it, my friend Maria just read it. Her book club read it for Femmes Fictionadas, and not a lot of people liked it. And I just realized, like, I don't have a lot of interest in reading this after hearing their thoughts. It seems like a book that I might enjoy, but I might hate, and I don't think it'll get anything better than a 3-star from me. So I don't really feel like reading it. I just know that I will put it off and it'll get buried, and so it can go to a better home. I'm no longer really interested in this one. The Song of All by Tina LeCount Myers. This is an indie story that I actually bought when researching books to do a reading polar fantasy vlog. And I attempted this one and I DNF'd it, and I always thought I would go back, but I haven't gone back, and it's been 2 or 3 years now. And I don't think I ever am going to. I got like 30-40 pages into this before I DNF'd it, and I also didn't really like the writing style. It needs to go. It needs a better home. Master of Sorrows by Justin D. Call, a book I've read. I read this book and I've read the sequel to it. I gave Master of Sorrows 3 stars. It was okay, but I wanted to continue and try the sequel to see if I liked it a little bit more. I didn't. I liked it less. So this is supposed to be like a 10-book series, and it's not for me. It's just not for me. It's boring. Not a villain origin story, I can tell you that. So this is being unhauled. It does not need to take up this amount of space on my bookshelf. Witch Sign by Den Patrick. I don't even know why I own this book. I literally don't. Like, I randomly bought this in a bookstore. Never heard of it. Never looked into reviews for it. I have no interest in reading this. Like, maybe one day I would read it, but it would be like one day really, really far away after I got to all of these books and all the books that come out that I'm more interested in. So yeah, this is just going. I don't even know why I bought it. I'm just wasting money at this point. The Lady of Rooksgrave Manor. I read this for Literature Club last month. I don't remember what month I read this in. And although the writing in this really good, it's all smut. Like, this is 400 pages of smut. I would say there's 30 pages of not smut. And I just ain't that kind of girl. No, I need plot. I'm not in it for the smut. I'm not a smut girl. Sorry. Not sorry. But if you are a smut girl, if all you want in your books is smut, It is pretty good smut, in my opinion, especially for monster smut. It's a reverse harem, why pick monster romance, and it's all smut. That's the only thing it's got going for it. This does not need to sit on my shelf. There's no reason for it to sit on my shelf. This can really go to a better home. It does not need to sit here. Engines of Empire by R.S. Ford. I read the first chapter of this and predicted its star rating to, I think, be 1 star, maybe 2 star. I also had my friend Rachel read this and not really enjoy it and tell me she didn't think I was going to enjoy it. I bought it, it sounded interesting, and then I really haven't heard favorable things from people that have similar reading taste from me, so I have no plan on reading it anytime soon. It can leave. We can just leave. I am just in the mood to get rid of things. That's what's happening here. Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. No, don't come at me if you see this back on my shelf, because I'm still in, like, debating mode with this. Because in one hand, I, like, love the way this looks, and I think it would be really fun as, like, a table book on, like, a coffee table. But I hated the book. So can, like, I keep a book that I hated just because, like, vibes? I think I probably can. You know what? I have the room on my shelf. We're not unhauling this. I lied to you. This is not being unhauled yet. One day it might be, but not right now. Yes, I just talked myself into keeping a book in front of all of you. These two bad boys should not be surprising if you've been on my channel for a while, but if you also may have not even realized I owned them, because they're hidden, so why am I keeping them? I read Spellslinger a long time ago, and I did not like it. I was not a fan. It was just meh, and I really didn't like the quirkiness of this story. I then tried Traitor's Blade, and I did like the Greatcoat series and the vibes of that, but I don't think this series is for me. I don't really love the gimmick in this. I don't really like the characters in this. I'm not a quirky person, I've learned. I want sobs, not laughs. I choose pain instead of happiness when I'm reading. And this was just not it for me. Gimmicks don't make a book enough for me, so I am unhauling them because I'm not going to continue the series. Like, it's 7 books long and I just, no. This is another one that, like, I'm unsure completely about, but I think I need to do it. The Sword of Kagan by M.L. Wong. I did not love this book. I enjoyed it. It was like a 3-star. It had good vibes, and I really like the cover, so I always think about keeping it. But I just didn't love it, and it's one of those books that my good feelings for it have faded fast, and it just has been like, I don't really remember much of this book. It's just a mad book for me now. But so many people love it that I'm thinking unhauling it is the smarter decision to do, because someone out there will love this book. Like, I didn't, but I understand why other people do. So by letting it go, I'm giving it a proper home. Like, a home that is going to love and cherish it the way that I don't. I stick it in a corner and try not to look at it, so it doesn't remind me of how I never like books people like. A very unsurprising trilogy to get rid of, the Lycanius trilogy. And I hate this book so much. I hate this trilogy so much. Sorry to all of you who love it. It's just got a time travel gimmick that just really didn't work for me, but I do think that it will work and could work for other people. It's just not for me. I feel like the characters fall really, really flat in this, and I just did not enjoy it. Not at all. Not at all. I give the first one 1 and the second and third 2 stars. My sister is reading this one right now, and she owns a copy of the first book, so I'm not going to let these out of my house quite yet. Well, let's be honest. I still have books that I unhauled like a year ago in my house because I suck at actually, like, they're just in a box. I just suck at taking them places they need to go. But if she likes the first book, I will give her these 2 books. See, it just jumped out of my hands. It doesn't even want to be here. Anyways, yeah, an unhaul. These 2 books that sadly I didn't love. I tried the Waking Fire for the Dragon vlog last month, and I DNF'd it about 140 pages in. It just really wasn't working for me. It was really dry. I liked the magic system in here, but there wasn't enough intrigue to keep me going. I do own both the first and the third one, and they were both gifted to me, I believe, so thank you so much for gifting them to me, and I'm sorry that I'm unhauling them. I'm sorry I didn't like them. I really wanted to like them. I really like these covers. I think that they're a lot of fun, but I'm sad I didn't. So these are being unhauled. City of Lies. My mother bought this for me. Sorry, Mom. It's being unhauled. I just don't have a lot of interest in it anymore. So it's some kind of poison story, and it sounds too classic for my taste. To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. I've been holding on to this book for a really long time. I unhauled all the rest of the Becky Chambers I owned without even reading them, and then recently I decided to read the first book in the Wayfair series. I DNF'd it like 60% in. I was so bored. I was keeping this one because it was just so short and it was a lot of money, so I thought maybe I would give it a try and read it in some kind of like readathon setting, but I decided I don't know why. I don't know why. I'm gonna hate it. Everyone I know says I'm gonna hate it. It can go. Moon of the Crusted Snow. I'm unhauling. I read this and I did really like it. I just don't want to keep it. It's a really well-written book. It's a beautiful book, but it isn't something that I'm going to want to keep. That's literally it. I don't know what else to say. I don't even know where the dust jacket is for this one, but this is the Winter's Promise and the Storm of Echoes, which is like kind of sad to say goodbye to, not gonna lie, but I hated this fourth book in the series, which means I'm never going to own the rest of the series. So, like, I could keep book one, but I actually prefer the paperback versions anyways. I only bought the hardcovers because I knew I was buying the hardcover of this one because I wanted to read it right when it came out. But I'm not wasting my money on more hardcovers, and I'm probably not going to ever buy the paperbacks because I hated this book so much that I'm just going to unhaul them. Like, I don't need to keep them. I do love the first two books in the series so much, but that's just my thinking. We have a bunch of comics. I'm unhauling the first Lock and Key and the first 4 volumes of Saga. I will probably continue to read the Saga comics, and I do have plans to continue the Lock and Key comics. Lock and Key ones are on KU, and that's how I read the rest of them anyways, and I will continue these, but I just don't need to own them. I prefer to read them online, actually, than in print. I like to read them on my phone because you can like zoom in and stuff, and I'm just not the biggest comic lover. I find that I just read the words and then I skip the page, then I turn the page and I'm like, wait, I missed something, because you have to look at the pictures, but the graphics just don't do it for me. So I am unhauling those. I also will be unhauling Buffy, but I wanted to be a comic reader, so I bought a bunch of them, and I learned I'm not a comic reader. So I did buy this. I want to read it, but I am going to unhaul it. I think my plan is to read this during Peace Talks in April for Realmathon, and I'm going to unhaul it right after that, so I'm just going to include it in this unhaul instead of putting it on my bookshelf again. I'll just put it in like a spot for me to read it. This collection of horror short stories I bought for a video that never happened, and I have no interest in reading them. They're classic short stories. I literally just bought it for a video, and since that video did not happen, I'm going to be real with myself and real with you guys and say, like, I have no interest in reading H.P. Lovecraft. I have no interest in reading Edgar Allan Poe. Like, these just aren't the vibes I want. They're not the writing style I enjoy. So this can go. It's just going to take up space, and it's going to make me feel bad that I haven't read it, so it's leaving. Blood Witch by Susan Tennard. If you saw the walkthrough, you might have realized that I kept the next book in this, the fourth book. I kept Witch Shadow, but I'm not keeping Blood Witch. 1, they're just not the same copies. 2, I really plan on getting rid of Witch Shadow, but I want to keep it until the last book comes out because it is tabbed and has some reminder stuff in it. So I will get rid of Witch Shadow after I've read that final book, but I have no reason to keep Blood Witch. I won't have matching copies of them again, so it can leave. I also didn't love the last book of it, so maybe I'm not expecting to love the 5th book either, but there we go. Now we're into the indie pile. I'm gonna do all 5 of these together. I read all of these for SPFBO Cassidy's version, and they're just not the ones I loved. Although I really did like Scales and Sensibilities, I just don't need to keep it. There's just no reason for me to keep it. And then the other 4 I just did not love at all, and I have no plans in continuing on in the series if there are continuations. Obviously, Fires has no continuation, and they can just leave. They can go to better homes. I don't need to look at them all the time and remember how much I hated A Song for the Void. It's just not necessary. So we can unhaul them, and hopefully someone else will find them and want to continue on in the series and truly love them, and it'll bring them joy. Then we have Sea of Room by Pam Godwin, which, thank you Kaylee for gifting it to me, but I'm sorry I'm unhauling it. This one was read for Kaylee's BookTube bestie, and I didn't love it that much. Like, it was an okay read, and I really loved the cover, so I'm like kind of sad I'm getting rid of it. Like, I do kind of love the vibes of this, but I just have no reason to keep it. I don't need to keep it. It can go, and someone else I think will again really, really love this, since it is like a dark romance. And then the last book that I am unhauling is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. I liked this book. It was okay, but it's not my typical read. It's not a book that I'm going to ever think about again. It's not a book that I love and live for. And I know there are people out here that this is like their favorite book in the entire world, and whoever gets this will probably be very happy because it is the self-published version and not the traditional version, and I'm sure that this would probably go for a lot of money if I sold it. But yeah, just, it can go to a better home. Someone will love it and cherish it the way that I do not. There we go. There are all the books I unhauled. I have no idea how many. I'm not even going to try to pick them up because it is actually quite a bit. I get good damage today. Well, yesterday, I guess. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. You don't need to comment down below and tell me that you loved a book that I'm unhauling. It's really not necessary. I'm unhauling them regardless of what you say. But if there's a book that you agree that I should unhaul, you can let me know that down below. And if you'd like to leave me an emoji just to say you were here, leave me some sort of like furniture emoji, like a couch or something, since I talked myself into keeping Horror Store. I just think it's funny. And then if you want to connect with me on other platforms, my Bookstagram, my Book Twitter, my Goodreads, and my Patreon are all linked in the description bar below. Have yourselves an absolutely remarkable day.